The enemy fleet appeared like a wall of light and metal in the darkness of space. Dozens of Dominion warships came out of hyperspace, their hulls marked with crimson symbols of power and conquest. Their leader, Admiral Carthan, watched the lone human vessel from his command chair and laughed softly. "One ship? The Deathworlders are brave but not smart. We will crush them and make the colony watch." On the human ship Vigilant Dawn, Captain Mason stood on the bridge, calm and still. Around him the crew worked fast but without panic. They all knew the odds. One small exploration ship against a fleet of 50 warships was madness. But to them it didn't matter. Humanity had faced extinction many times before and survived everyone. This was no different. "Eidolon," Mason said quietly. "Status report." The ship's AI spoke in its calm tone. "Enemy fleet forming attack lines. 52 vessels, class heavy and dreadnought. They will be in firing range in 6 minutes. Can we outrun them?" asked Sarah, the communication officer. "We could," Mason said, "but then who would stand between them and the colony?" No one answered. They all knew the truth. If they left, the Alvarians would be wiped out. Mason looked out the viewport at the small blue world below. "We hold the line," he said. "Activate battle systems. Wake up the old codes." The lights on the bridge dimmed as deep within the ship systems long dormant came alive. Heavy armor plates shifted into place, hidden weapons unlocked, and the ship's reactor glowed with a faint red light. Vigilant Dawn had been built for exploration, but like all Terran vessels, it carried the bones of a warship. Captain Eidolon warned, "Activating ancient combat protocols may cause permanent system damage." "Then it'll be worth it," Mason replied. The Dominion fleet moved closer, filling the sky. On the Alvarian surface, citizens looked up and saw streaks of light as enemy ships entered orbit. Panic spread again. Lyra, the young artist, held her brother close and whispered, "The humans will protect us. They promised." In orbit, the first shots were fired. Massive beams of plasma tore through space, striking where the human ship had been seconds ago. The Vigilant Dawn twisted aside, its engines roaring, leaving a trail of ion fire. "Targeting their command vessel," said the tactical officer. "Fire," Mason ordered. A single railgun slug launched from the Vigilant Dawn and crossed the void faster than sound. It slammed into the Dominion flagship's shield, cracking it like glass. The enemy admiral's smile faded. "How?" he muttered. The humans didn't answer with words, they answered with fury. The Vigilant Dawn moved like a living thing, slipping between enemy fire, striking back with impossible accuracy. Every shot hit something vital. Every movement was planned in seconds by Eidolon and executed by human instinct. Still, the numbers were overwhelming. Enemy ships surrounded them, pouring fire into their shields. The bridge shook. Sparks flew from the panels. "Shields at 40%, shouted Sarah. Mason didn't look away from the viewport. "Divert auxiliary power. Keep firing." On the colony below, the Alvarians saw flashes of light in the sky, blue and red, bright as stars colliding. They didn't know what those flashes meant, only that the humans were still fighting. Inside the Vigilant Dawn, alarms rang, but no one gave up. Humanity's strength wasn't in size or technology, it was in will. Even when the hull began to break and the lights flickered, the crew held their ground. Eidolon's voice came again. "Captain, the Dominion's main carrier is charging a planetary cannon. It will destroy the colony." Mason's heart pounded. "Then we stop it." He turned to his crew. "Prepare the overdrive core. I want all power to weapons." "This ends now." Sarah stared at him. "That could destroy us." "I know," Mason said softly. "But if it saves them, then it's worth it." The crew didn't argue. They trusted him completely. The Vigilant Dawn rose higher, aiming straight for the center of the Dominion fleet. The enemy commander realized too late what the humans intended. "Stop them!" he shouted, but his ships couldn't move fast enough. Eidolon's voice filled the ship. "Overdrive core active, energy levels reaching maximum threshold." Mason looked at his crew one last time. "For those who called for help," he said. Then the ship fired. A blinding wave of light exploded outward. The railgun slug, charged with more power than it was ever meant to hold, ripped through the Dominion carrier, tearing its core apart. The explosion was so massive it dragged nearby ships into the blast. One by one, the Dominion vessels broke apart, their hulls melting in the storm of energy. When the light faded, silence fell. The Vigilant Dawn drifted in space, battered and smoking, but still alive. The enemy fleet was gone, reduced to wreckage floating in orbit. On the Alvarian surface, the people stared at the sky in awe. The terrible light they had seen wasn't their end. It was their salvation. Lyra ran to the edge of the city and looked up. "They did it," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "The humans did it." A message soon reached the colony, carried by Eidolon's calm voice. "The threat has been neutralized. The colony is safe." In the background, Mason's voice followed, quiet and tired. "Tell them." No one cries for help alone. The transmission ended. Days later, the Alvarians began rebuilding. The humans helped as long as they could, repairing the cities, giving them supplies. When it was done, Captain Mason stood before the Alvarian Council. They offered him treasures, songs, even a monument in his honor, but he refused gently. "We didn't come for reward," he said. "We came because you called." Lyra stepped forward, holding a small sculpture she had made. It showed a single ship standing against a storm. "Then take this," she said softly. "So you'll remember that we remember." Mason smiled and accepted it. "We'll keep it safe." When the vigilant dawn left the planet, thousands gathered to watch it rise into the sky. Children waved, calling out words of thanks. The ship climbed higher and higher until it vanished among the stars. Inside the bridge, Sarah looked at the captain. "Where to next, sir?" Mason leaned back in his chair. "There's always another signal somewhere," he said. "Let's keep listening." And so the ship moved on, disappearing into the dark, leaving behind a world that would never forget them. In time, the Alvarians built a monument at the site of the battle. It was simple, just a tall spire made of silver and stone, with words carved at its base. A simple SOS summoned the wrath of Deathworlders, and their mercy saved us all. Generations later, when children asked who the Deathworlders were, their elders would tell the story of the humans who answered a cry for help. They would say the humans came like storms, fierce and unstoppable. But their hearts were kind, and somewhere out in the endless night, the vigilant dawn continued its silent watch, ready to answer the next SOS, because for humans it was never about war. It was about never turning away from those who needed them. The legend of that one ship spread across the galaxy. Many feared it, some respected it, but all remembered it. Whenever someone whispered about the Deathworlders, they did so with a mix of fear and gratitude. For they had learned one truth that would never fade. When humans heard a cry for help, they came. And when they came, the galaxy itself trembled. The distress call was weak, almost lost in the silence of deep space. A simple SOS sent in an old signal code repeated over and over. No one was supposed to hear it. It was meant for nearby ships that never came. But the signal reached far across empty light years, until it was caught by a passing human exploration vessel named Vigilant Dawn. Captain Mason stood on the bridge, watching the signal repeat on the display. It was broken and faint, but the message was clear. "Help. Please help us." The origin point blinked on the star map, a small colony world in the Orion expanse. The crew exchanged uncertain looks. That region was known for trouble. Pirates, raiders, abandoned colonies. Most ships avoided it. Lieutenant Sarah, the ship's communication officer, frowned as she tried to clean the audio. "Sir, it's coming from an Alvarian colony. They're not a warlike race. Artists, teachers, farmers mostly. The message says they're under attack." Mason's jaw tightened. "Under attack by who?" "Unknown. The signal's too damaged." He turned to his crew. "Set course for that world." There was a pause. The navigator hesitated. "Captain, the Alvarian system is outside our jurisdiction. No other Alliance ships are responding. Maybe we should report this first." Mason looked at the screen again. The voice in the transmission sounded terrified. He didn't need permission to do what was right. "No. If we wait, they'll be gone by the time someone approves a rescue. Prepare the jump." The crew obeyed, and the Vigilant Dawn's engines roared to life. Within moments, the ship slipped through the fold of space, racing toward the unknown colony. When they arrived, silence greeted them at first. Then chaos. The world below was burning. Whole cities were aflame. Dozens of pirate vessels surrounded the planet, their cannons tearing apart Alvarian defense towers. Civilians ran for cover, their bright blue skin glowing faintly in the smoke-filled night. Sarah gasped. "My God, they're slaughtering them." Mason clenched his fists. "Not if we can help it. All weapons hot. Target the lead raider." The ship's tactical officer locked on and fired. A streak of light crossed the void. One precise shot that split the pirate cruiser in half. For a moment, the sky was filled with fire. The other raiders froze, shocked by the sudden arrival of a lone human ship. The vigilant dawn began to move through them like a wolf among crows. Its railguns flashed, shredding engines and tearing through shields. Every shot was precise, every movement fast and brutal. The pirates tried to regroup, but humans were different. They didn't fight with hesitation. They fought to end things quickly. "Who are they?" one pirate shouted over comms before his ship exploded. Down on the planet, the Alvarian people watched the sky in disbelief. A single silver vessel danced among a swarm of black ones, leaving trails of fire behind it. They had heard stories of humans, wild, unpredictable beings from a dangerous world, but none of them had ever seen one. In the city center, a young Alvarian artist named Lyra held her little brother close as buildings trembled. She stared up, tears in her eyes. "Someone answered," she whispered. Someone actually came. Above, the vigilant Dawn's AI, Eidolon, reported calmly. "Multiple hostiles destroyed. 5 remaining. Enemy reinforcements detected at the edge of the system." Mason nodded. "Good. Let them come." The ship twisted sharply, using debris from fallen pirate vessels as cover. It was a risky maneuver, one that only human pilots dared to try. Another blast from the railgun tore through 2 ships at once. Inside, the crew worked like a single heartbeat. No one panicked. Every command was sharp and clear. Even when the ship took a hit that rattled its hull, they didn't flinch. Humanity had long ago learned to survive worse. They came from a planet that tried to kill them every day with storms, predators, and wars. That spirit hadn't faded. It had only grown sharper. When the last pirate tried to flee, Mason gave the order. "Let him go." The tactical officer looked surprised. "Sir?" "He'll spread the word," Mason said quietly. "Let them know what happens when you prey on the helpless." Moments later, the sky was quiet again. Smoke drifted through orbit. The Alvarian world was saved, but the silence that followed felt heavy. The vigilant dawn descended through the atmosphere, its engines parting the clouds. On the ground, hundreds of Alvarians gathered near the landing site. They watched in awe as the humans stepped out, tall figures in dark armor, their eyes scanning the devastation. Mason approached the nearest group and removed his helmet. "You sent an SOS," he said simply. "We came." An elder stepped forward, trembling. "You're human?" "Yes," the elder bowed low. "We were told your kind does not leave your worlds anymore, that you only fight your own wars." Mason looked around at the broken city and the frightened faces. "That used to be true, but we remember what it's like to call for help and be ignored." Lyra stepped forward, still holding her brother. "You saved us. Why?" Mason gave a small smile. "Because someone had to." For the first time in days, the Alvarians felt hope. The humans helped them restore communication, distributed food, and repaired damaged shelters. Their ship became a beacon in the night sky, guiding survivors toward safety. But deep in orbit, Eidolon detected a new energy spike. Mason returned to the bridge. "Talk to me." The AI's voice was steady. "Incoming transmissions intercepted. Multiple war fleets on approach vector. The signal originates from the Dominion." Mason's face hardened. The Dominion was a cruel power that ruled nearby sectors with fear. "They must have tracked the distress signal too." "Correction," Eidolon replied. "They're responding to the humans' interference. They intend to make an example." Mason stared out the viewport at the stars. The calm blue planet below was peaceful for now, but he knew it wouldn't last. He opened the ship's intercom. "All hands prepare for battle readiness. We might have saved them once, but this isn't over." In the colony below, Lyra looked up at the stars again. The humans had saved them, but she could feel something coming. Something far worse. As night fell, a soft breeze carried the last words of the Alvarian broadcast through the air. "To whoever hears this, thank you." Mason heard it too, sitting in the captain's chair, eyes fixed on the starfield ahead. He whispered back, "You're welcome." But even as he said it, warning lights flashed across the bridge. The Dominion had arrived. 50 warships dropped out of hyperspace, surrounding the system like a tightening noose. The humans didn't retreat. The captain's voice was calm but firm. "They wanted to test Deathworlders. Let's show them what that means." And as the crew of the Vigilant Dawn prepared for the next battle, the quiet stars seemed to shiver. because somewhere in the darkness, ancient instincts awoke. Humanity had come not just to help but to protect, and when Deathworlders rose in defense of the weak, even the void itself seemed to tremble. The SOS had been simple, just a cry for help, but that single cry had reached the wrong species or perhaps the right one.